The cost of assumption, a lesson in humility. One wrong assumption shattered Olivia Carter's entire career in a matter of seconds. The crisp sound of her palms striking the passenger's face echoed through the first-class cabin, followed by a silence so dense she could hear her own heartbeat. What she didn't know, what she couldn't have imagined, was that the quiet, well-dressed black man she had just assaulted owned the entire airline. Real-life stories brings you a powerful narrative of prejudice, authority, and an unexpected journey towards self-awareness. As Olivia recounts that unforgettable day, her hands tremble. "I was so sure," she whispers, "so sure he didn't belong in seat 1A. It was a certainty that would cost her everything." Chapter 1. The Assumption. Olivia Carter moved through the first-class cabin with the practiced ease of someone who had spent 22 years in the airline industry. Her polished heels barely made a sound on the plush carpeting as she checked on the premium passengers, her uniform immaculate, her demeanor calm. Yet something gnawed at her as she passed seat 1A. The man sitting there was unlike the usual first-class clientele she had grown accustomed to. He sat quietly, flipping through a travel magazine, his demeanor serene. There was no open laptop, no urgent calls, no frantic gestures or demanding behavior. He didn't act like the others, the CEOs who treated the cabin like their personal boardroom or the high-profile executives who needed everyone to know their status. He didn't have that performative arrogance Olivia was used to. Instead, he had something subtler, something harder to place. He belonged, and that somehow bothered her. "Sir, may I verify your seat assignment?" Olivia asked, her tone edged with polite authority. The man looked up. His deep brown eyes met hers, calm and unbothered. Without a word, he handed over his boarding pass. "Seat 1A. Nathaniel Green," the ticket read. "Paid in full. No issues." But the knot in Olivia's stomach only tightened. "Liv, what are you doing?" Her colleague, Maya Thompson, whispered from the galley, where she was preparing drinks. Olivia didn't answer right away. "It doesn't add up." Maya frowned. "His ticket's legit. Let it go." Olivia hesitated, her manicured nails tapping rhythmically against the countertop. "He's too relaxed. First-class passengers don't act like this. They make demands. They flaunt their importance." Maya raised an eyebrow. Or maybe he just doesn't feel the need to prove anything. But Olivia had already tuned her out. Her instincts, those same instincts that had guided her career for 2 decades, were screaming at her. Something felt off. Chapter 2. The Crossing Line. Olivia circled back towards seat 1A, this time stopping directly beside the man. "Mr. Green, would you mind showing me your ID?" The question caused an almost imperceptible shift in the cabin. Nearby passengers straightened in their seats, the tension creeping into the air. Nathaniel paused before reaching into his wallet, moving with unhurried grace, as though this was merely another formality. He handed her his ID without a flicker of irritation. Nathaniel Green. The name matched. So did the face. Still, Olivia's gut churned. "What line of work are you in, Mr. Green?" she asked before she could stop herself, her professionalism slipping. A slow smile crossed Nathaniel's face, one that wasn't angry or offended, but amused. "I own an airline," he replied, his voice low and calm. Olivia felt the world tilt beneath her feet. She didn't believe him. Couldn't. Pulling out her tablet, she navigated through the employee directory until she found it. His name, his face, his title. Nathaniel Green, chairman and majority stakeholder of Skywave Airlines. The very company that signed her paychecks. Her breath caught. Her hands went cold. Chapter 3. The Consequences. The walk to the cockpit felt like walking through wet cement. Each step was heavier than the last. When she finally reached Captain Dawson, the look on his face told her everything before he even opened his mouth. "You're done, Olivia," he said grimly. "Security will be waiting when we land." The words hit like a punch to the chest. "But you didn't just offend a passenger. You disrespected the owner of this airline. You know what that means." She did. Her career was over. But it wasn't just the end of her job that gnawed at her. It was the truth she could no longer deny. She hadn't questioned Nathaniel Green because of any real concern. She hadn't acted out of protocol. She had acted out of bias. She had looked at a successful black man in first class and let assumptions flood her mind. Chapter 4. The Twist. As Olivia sat in the galley, waiting for what felt like an inevitable public humiliation, the in-flight phone rang, its sharp tones slicing through the heavy silence. The captain answered. His eyebrows shot up in surprise. "He's changed his mind," he muttered. "No security escort. You're staying on." Olivia's mouth dropped open. Her mind raced. Why? After everything, why spare her? With shaky hands, she poured a fresh glass of water, adding a lemon wedge, and made her way back to seat 1A. "Mr. Green," she began, placing the glass in front of him. I was wrong. Completely. Inexcusably. And I'm so—" "Do you know why I changed my mind?" Nathaniel interrupted gently. She blinked, caught off guard. I don't. Because accountability teaches more than punishment." The words hit deeper than any reprimand. He could have ended her career with a phone call. Instead, he'd chosen a harder path for both of them. Chapter 5. The Reflection. The remainder of the flight passed in a haze. Every interaction Olivia had with passengers felt heavy with meaning. She caught side glances from first-class travelers who had watched her confront Nathaniel and had said nothing. Their silence echoed in her mind. Maya appeared at her side. "He didn't destroy you. He made you live with it." Olivia nodded. "And that's worse." Nathaniel Green hadn't needed to raise his voice or throw his weight around. His calm dignity had spoken volumes. It had forced her and everyone watching to confront something ugly about themselves. She realized that the power to transform wasn't in punishment. It was in awareness, in forcing people to look inward. Chapter 6. The Lesson. As the plane began its descent, Olivia watched Nathaniel gather his belongings with that same quiet composure. When he stood to exit the aircraft, he turned toward her one last time. "I hope you remember this, MS. Carter." "I will," she promised, and she meant it. In the terminal, long after the passengers had dispersed, Olivia traced the silver wings pinned to her uniform. They felt heavier now, as if they carried not just the responsibility of service, but the burden of self-awareness. That flight had changed everything. Not because she had nearly lost her job, but because one man had chosen to hold up a mirror to her soul and trusted her to see it. The takeaway: stories like Olivia Carter's are more than cautionary tales. They're reflections of the silent biases we all carry and the strength it takes to confront them. Nathaniel Green didn't wield his power to crush someone beneath it. He used it to transform someone's understanding. So, what do you think? In a world that often leans toward punishment, is accountability the more powerful teacher? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if stories of transformation like this resonate with you, consider subscribing for more real-life lessons that challenge, inspire, and ultimately unite us.